My name is Michael Schrader. I'm one of the three co-founders and the CEO of Vaxess Technologies. Vaxess has a really interesing platform that combines both elements of simplifying vaccine access. So imagine vaccines that can be shipped without refrigeration. So something that can be shipped via Amazon instead of requiring refrigeration, which all other vaccines in the market do. We combine that simple shipment with greatly enhanced delivery. So think of a nicotine patch, if you will, for vaccines and some other therapeutics, rather than a traditional needle and syringe. So now what this allows us to do is take vaccines out of the clinic and into patients' homes. But that's really not the whole extent of the technology. So it turns out that sustaining release of biologics, so a biologic drug, think of a vaccine, think of a hormone, within a patient is an incredibly complex challenge. Vaccines don't like high temperatures. Your body's a pretty high temperature. Vaccines don't like wet environments. Your skin, your body is essentially a very wet, hydrated environment. So we're fortunate to be working with a breakthrough material that protects the vaccine within the patient's body for as long as you need it to be protected. A couple of weeks, a couple of months, as an example. The beauty of this material is that it not only protects that molecule, it stabilizes it against those challenging high temperature, high humidity environments. More importantly, we can tune that material to essentially dissolve within the patient's skin at the desired release rate. So it's kind of what we call a tunable biopolymer. So we can control that rate. We do that through formulation, so putting other things into the formulation of the patch. We also do that by the way that we manufacture the patch. So at a simple level, if we dry the patch down very quickly, we get very different release rates than if we dry the patch down very slowly. So there's a lot of different levers that we can tune with this material to modulate that release rate. So it's really a combination of new biology, sustained release can drive potent immune responses, new drug delivery system, small patch applied to the patient's skin, and novel biomaterial that ultimately enables all of this. The real novelty of the MIMIX system is that we have a patch. Again, think of a nicotine patch. That patch is applied to the skin and worn for only 5 minutes. The magic of our system is during that 5 minutes, what's actually happening is the patch is basically embedding very small drug depots in the patient's skin. And after only 5 minutes, that patch can now be removed. And we can tune those drug depots to release anywhere from a couple of minutes to a couple of weeks to a couple of months. So whatever your application is, you can come to us and basically say, hey, I need this drug to deliver with a certain profile in a patient's skin over 2 weeks, over 3 weeks, over 2 months. And essentially we engineer the drug depot that's left behind in the skin to release over that precise period of time. So what this means for the patient, they put the patch on, as long as they can remember to take it off sometime after 5 minutes. It needs to remain in place for 5 minutes. It can remain for 10, an hour, longer. But basically, as long as the patch remains in place for 5 minutes and then is removed, the patient is going to get the right therapeutic drug delivery profile that you, as the drug manufacturer, think is optimized for, again, protecting the patient in the case of a vaccine or supporting the patient in the case of, let's say, a pain medication or something else. So 5 minutes of wear time gives you, again, tunable release, as we call it, anywhere from minutes to months. The interesting thing to me about this company and this platform is that it was not invented by a drug delivery expert. It was invented by an immunologist. And this immunologist saw some breakthrough biology. And that biology was infection mimicry, mimicking infection to make a vaccine work in ways that fundamentally, quite frankly, we've never seen before. We simply needed to invent a new drug delivery system to enable that new immunology. So unlike other drug delivery systems where we came at it to say, how can we simplify this for the customer, the patient? We came at it to say, how can we, for the first time, make a flu vaccine that actually protects against drifted strains of the flu virus really well? For the first time, how can we create an HIV vaccine that, again, protects against the strains as they're mutating and drifting? For the first time in the world of oncology, how can we actually trigger very potent immune responses that can allow the body to more effectively target and combat that tumor itself? So it's fundamentally an efficacy improvement first. It's fundamentally enabling new therapeutic opportunities first and foremost. The benefits of the drug delivery system and the convenience for the customer is just kind of an added benefit on top of that. So the Vaxess platform technology is called MIMIX, and the name MIMIX actually comes from the concept of infection mimicry. So at a very simple level, what we and our collaborators have found is that if you look at the way that a patient interacts with an actual virus, so let's say you were to contract flu, It typically enters your body through the mucosa. So think of skin or mucosa of your mouth. And this is essentially the types of tissue in our body that have been trained for many, many millennia to fight off infectious diseases. So we compare that to the way that we traditionally give vaccines today. We inject them into the muscle, which is not particularly immunologically active part of the body. So by moving from the muscle into the skin, we drive more potent immune responses. More importantly, we've found from looking at, patient's interaction with the flu virus, that if you look at a patient's antibody levels on day 1 of an infection versus day 10 of an infection versus day 15 of an infection, on the later stages of that infection, you see much higher quantities of antibodies and T cells, but you also see much higher quality antibodies and T cells. So we go from what are called non-neutralizing antibodies that are not very effective at fighting off the disease to neutralizing antibodies. For Vaxess, really the critical elements of our work are twofold. So number one, we're working right now aggressively to scale up manufacturing. And manufacturing ultimately underlies everything that we do. We have to prove to the FDA, we have to prove to partners, we have to prove to everyone else that we can manufacture at very, very large scales, consistently, reproducibly, and at a price that is suitable for the broad range of applications that we're thinking about. Again, everything from vaccines for the developing world to birth control for the developing world. So scaling manufacturing is our single highest priority in the near term. And so working with partners that are interested in the broader platform and can help support that, whether contract manufacturers, whether equipment designers, or whether funding agencies that look at this and say, man, this is a platform that's going to have a range of applications. It makes sense to build that capability out now. So that's really one element for us. The second element is, we don't manufacture our own drugs. We don't manufacture our own vaccines. So we have, ongoing discussions with a number of partners. We have 2 right now. And we're always looking for partners who have molecules, who are thinking to themselves, man, if I could only find a way to sustain release of that within a patient, 1, to ship it to patients without the need for cold chain, 2, or to allow for patients to self-apply in the form of a simple patch as opposed to a needle and syringe, man, this would be really transformational in terms of either selling more of the product here in the US or making the product more accessible to patients around the world. So talking to and engaging those developers of those APIs, those compounds, to sit together and think about how this platform may really kind of transform what that product looks like in the future. Those are really the 2 areas that I think we're looking for partner engagement today.